Hey people, I'm still very much preparing here because I'm running late because of myself. Okay, I think I have most of the things done and set up now. Hi there, good evening. How are you guys doing? It's already 12 over. Wow. Well, it's still on time officially, but you know, I always like these pre-stream things. So, can you guys hear me okay? It's a bit soft, it seems. Let me turn that up a little bit. There. Yep, that's fine. Goedenavond allemaal. Hi all. Johnny Bergdahl is staying? What? What? I should have known. I would have picked a much more exciting topic, I guess. I don't know. Let's turn up this light a little bit too, because it's too dim. Yes, very good. I think a little bit too much. Yeah, it's still light outside, and I find it hard to adjust my cameras for that because I like fixed settings for everything. But you know, so let's see here at the top, because Draadstaal, he knocked it out of the park immediately before the stream even started. I can't see when, but he did. Yeah, LEDs again. There can never be enough LEDs. I agree there, Draadstaal. Thanks a lot for the €11 donation. Any reason why it's 11? Let the LED in, says Jacco. Hi, Dutch. What? Goedenavond. Similar to German, yeah. Ich spreche auch ein bisschen Deutsch. Es ist nicht sehr gut, aber, you know, ein kleines bisschen, ja. Let's go party, says Philip. And, well, as I said, Johnny Bergdahl is here. Jacco Siegfried Homonto. Oh, okay. Felix, Earthgamer XC. Jardo, nice. No bar tonight, says Johnny. Aw. 3-minute pre-stream, because Quindor is a chatterbox. Well, we were talking on the Discord, and I don't think he's here, Polo. He's very active on the Discord. He proposed a nice idea. It kind of got shot down because of financials, but, you know, I'm always excited for developing stuff. So, morning there, Andrew. Never enough LEDs when you have noobs like me getting into the hobby every day. Well, welcome to the club, Chris. Multiple connections for LED strips is modular cable extensions for PC power supply. Multi-pole connections for LED strip. How do you mean, Andrew? I'm not sure I follow that question. We can certainly talk about ATX power supplies. I've actually designed somewhat in my head, but still, distribution boards for AC or ATX power supplies before, but I never really put one into production yet. It used to be €10, says Draadstaal, but some difference between Android Pay and Apple Pay in game shops added something to Android Pay. Okay. Interesting. Good evening from Scotland, says Medved. Oh, he's here. I didn't know CJ was here. Yeah, sure. You want to be a mod? Let's add as moderator. There. You can be a standard moderator. Can review and remove chat messages and hide or put users in timeout. Save. There. Avenge CJ. You should be a moderator now. Try it out. Well, no, don't kick anyone. Anyway, I'm still feeling pre-streamy, so we're just gonna pre-stream. You know, we're gonna talk. How was everyone's Friday? And I'm gonna drink some Fanta. Should we? Okay, let's do a poll. No, let's not do a poll. There is, how many people are here? 42. That's not a lot, but it's okay. What should I slap on my drink can? Because we've had Ultra before, and we've had Holy. But what kind of Fanta Lemon is this? Is it, again, Ultra? Or is it Holy? Or is it Mega Plus? Or what? How can we spice up this drink? Mods can't mod? Okay. Bash the like button. Yes, that's it. That's it. No. I am now YouTuber shield mode. So it's going to be like. No, that's way too small. What? What is even going on? Okay. Like and subscribe. Well, I guess that can be the second drink. Extremo Premium Addressable. I like and subscribe. I'm going full shield mode here. Let's go YouTuber font. Do we have a YouTuber font? There. Let's go. I want to print this in high quality. Because, you know. Oh, there it is. There it is. The like and subscribe drink. There. I'll show everyone what they need to do. If my camera maybe... There we go. Like. No. This way. Yeah. No, maybe. I don't know. Like and subscribe, people. Yes. There. Now it's clear. RGB Lemon. Ultimate. Well, Ultimate's kind of like Ultra. How many rolls did you print already? Don't worry about it. These come in like 60-meter rolls. There. Now we have the Fanta Almost Lemon. I sadly pasted over it. The like and subscribe drink. Oh, no. Camera says no. Sees the face. Nope. Okay, well, anyway. Well, it is helping. I already have 23 likes. The ultimate desktop. No. We're not going to talk about the ultimate overkill desk either. So Andrew cut them in half, and this gives a convenient way to disconnect multiple LED strips, each with a plus, minus, and signal. Okay, I still don't follow. Let me read your previous mention. I still don't get how that relates to a question or ATX power supplies there, Andrew. Years ago, Event CJ made a script to print every donation in real time for a friend. Well, that'd be cool if the donation just came rolling out of the printer and could hold it up. I could stick it on my wall here. That's actually not a bad idea. We have the donations run out of the sticker printer, and then you just stick it on the wall back there. Huh. That's actually a really good idea. It's not really very economical or, you know, environmental sustainability type thing. Then again, it's just paper. So... You will cover your wall. What? With what? Oh, yeah, with all the donations you do. It's AliExpress friendly. Yes, it is, because, you know, the labels don't cost a lot on there. So, let me see if everything's okay here. Yes. How about a COB LED display of super chat donations that show up? How would you do that? I mean, would you create a screen out of it? At some point, you can just better buy a screen. I mean, it's fun doing everything with LEDs, but there's clearly not enough pink LEDs on this stream yet. It's right when you say that, this turned pink. I didn't do anything. It just happened. They're on random, so... Quinder has a new discount code. What? You can get me for a discount? Are you guys paying me? What? Are you getting the money they pay for me, Philip? and now they can get a discount? Is that how it works? Finish the matrix and display donations on there. Maybe. Oh, not to buy me. Okay, to buy other stuff. Oh, you mean my AliExpress discount code that I posted in the Quinboxed and Get a Link channel. Yeah, if you're in the Discord, check that out. I believe it's $3 off every, or $25 you spend. So, yeah. DJS asks a topic-related question. One of my strips will be 4 meter from my dig quad. Should I use one of them data boosters? Since the most recent versions, and those have already been, for a year now or more, you don't need those anymore because there is a resistor switcher on the dig quad and dig Uno and dig Octa itself. So if you're using 2-wire plus data, it's set to 249 resistor automatically or by default, and then you can manually switch it to 33R if you're using 3-wire combined cable. And then you should easily be able to get 5 or even 10 meters or something like that. So 16 to 32 feet generally works unless there's really an interference source really close. But otherwise than that, you shouldn't need a booster. Medved says, had an unfortunate realization today that a 24-volt power supply with 24-volt LED strip won't work with an ESP32 without stepping down the voltage. That's correct. Buck converters ordered, project delayed. Or you could use a Queen LED, Dig Uno, Dig Quad, or Dig Octa. Those are all 24-volt compatible and do all that stuff, including level shifting and resistors and all kinds of things for you. But I get doing it the DIY way. That's how I started too. There's also the DIY Dig Uno and Dig Quad you can build. So there's option there too if you do want to have it in a little board, but you don't want to buy the pre-assembled. That's why it's called pre-assembled. So, But yeah, sure, I get it. Doing it with a raw ESP32. It's certainly the cheapest way. Any site when the AE Plus is going to be back in store again? Well, some of the boards have been going through a redesign or a slight update basically. There's not really going to be much added functionality, but some slight changes in the design for manufacturability and other things. And the AE Plus was one of those, but the AE Plus is on basically the first list we're going to be reproducing soon. So it'll be a little bit still, but it's going to come back for sure. Oh yeah, Avenge CJ, that's a good option too, doing it over USB and sharing ground. Oh, Philip, same thing. Yeah, thanks DJS. Putting LEDs on families' homes is always a good thing. Don't worry, Philip, you're still the CEO, CIO, CFO, and all the C and O's. No worries. So, today, what I wanted to do, because I've been really busy with that work I just described of redesigning a few stuff. I had hoped I would have had pre-production samples of my analog boards in today. Sadly, that's probably slipped to Monday because FedEx hasn't delivered those yet. So, I thought let's revisit a topic. If we go to Quinled.info and we go to Digitally Addressable LEDs, and there we have something that's called the Power Injection Livestream. And in there, that's Livestream 007. And we're currently on Livestream 069. 69? So, yeah, let's revisit that topic and calculate a few LED setups again and basically run through that process, how that worked exactly. Now, the last time we got a giant text document out of that with some examples. And, well, basically I want to generate the same thing and I can update the article and, we can work through it like that. All three-letter things with a C. Yes. Oh, Venji Systems got his first dig to go last week. Love it. Very nice to hear that. While talking about data, is there a limit on how thin data wires can be? Don't think so. Would like to be use about 1 meter of 0.14 millimeters square wire for a build. Especially when it's short, it doesn't matter too much. If it gets longer, I have noticed positive effects when it's not like 22 gauge versus 18 gauge. So 18 gauge generally worked better. But it's not a lot of current, so generally it shouldn't matter too much. I have also used like 5 meters of 20 gauge and that's worked fine. So all complaints go to Philip. Gotcha. Yes. This is how it works. If you ever have a complaint about me, go to Philip. Well, it's actually a good thing. You shouldn't complain to me about me, is it? 007 did used to like his 69s. I don't know. Wife acceptance factor dictates we're going bright variant 96 LEDs per meter. Overkill? I don't know, but there's an alternative to that now, and that is the 24 volt addressable neon. I did a video about a while back. We'll also be doing calculations for that one. That one is a very good competitor. I think I like it even better than the 96 LEDs per meter. It has slightly less zones, so it depends what you're looking for, but yeah. Oh, Beamer 4908 got his dig quad, it doesn't say when, but and his first LED controller working last week. Nice. Got a Christmas tree I'm trying to set up, but it's May. What are you doing with a Christmas tree? But you're certainly preparing on time. So, oh, Medved also installed his first Dig Uno this week. Nice. What are the plans for Stream 100? There are no plans yet. I mean, even I had no plans for Stream 69. So, yeah. Oh, I missed Chris Atkinson's doing WS2811 strips around the roof of the house. House is pretty much square, 40 meters per side. Total distance about 60 meters. Holy shit. That is quite the project there, Chris. Is that also something we want to calculate? Is that the project we want to start with? Let's see. Let's do it. No. Yeah, here we go. Oh, I didn't focus my top cam. There. Okay. Well, now you get to see my hand doing hand stuff. Anyway, I'm a bit in a funny mood today. So, let's think about this. I need to move this slightly further away. We have 14 meters of 12 volt WS2811, which is, are we doing 60 LEDs a meter or 96 LEDs a meter there, Chris? More large projects should be included. Sure. Well, let's do the 14 meter one. And yeah. Did Chris mention before what type? Oh, okay. Chris is doing 60. Philip says 96. Well, let's do 60 because it's more generic. So, of 60 LEDs a meter, right? So, 14 meters of 12 volt in a single strip. Let's first calculate total zones. We have 60 LEDs a meter, but since it's per 3, LEDs a meter divided by 3 is 20 zones per meter. 14 times 20 is, and I'm going to use the calculator for everything, 280 zones, which is less than 600, so good. Okay, so the total zones, we calculate the addressable zones. We're not talking pixels because, oh wait, are you, oh yeah, you're talking strips, not pixels. Okay, good. So we can only address them per 3 from a distance. That's generally fine. And we end up with 280 zones. We don't want to go above 600. I have an article about that. Let's look up the article real quick, because we have this article for that. What is the max amount of addressable LEDs per controller? So let's copy that in there. Oh god, I'm going to do a lot of switching here. Let's move this here. Yeah. More info. There. So the amount of total zones, we're good, right? We don't want to exceed 600 LEDs or zones, but since it's 12 volt, it's per 3 addressable, we're good there. Now, we need to look up how much total power for 14 meter of 12 volt WS2811 60 LEDs a meter. And we're going to look up two things: max power usage, and nominal power usage. And we're going to define that as 50% RGB white, and the max power usage is 100% RGB white. Okay, so we're going back to the browser. Oh, nope, wrong scene. There. We're going back to the browser, and in the digitally addressable LED section, we have something called a digital LED power usage sheet. Okay, there we have a 5 volt sheet and we have a 12 volt sheet. Since we're using 12 volt WS2811 strip, we're going to select the 12 volt. We're going to zoom in a little bit, and we're going to look up the middle one here, which is 300 LEDs, but it's per 3 addressable, 60 LEDs a meter. And we said we needed to know what RGB white 100% was. That is 75 watt. All the power sheets are in watt. I'll switch back to the notepad in a minute. And the second value we need is RGB white 50%. That is 41 watt. 41 watt. There. Okay, let's switch back to the notepad. So I have 75 watt here and 41 watt. Now, we're generally not going to be running our LEDs at 100% white for all the LEDs at the same time. So, going back to Chrome again, we use the RGB white 50% value because if we look at red for all LEDs at the same time, at 100%, we're at 30 watts, green the same thing, and blue the same thing, and all the effects, even at 100%, use below the 41 watts, which is the 50% white value. So in calculating the power usage we're actually going to use, I believe the 50% RGB white value is the correct one. We'll be using fuses and calculating all the cable sizes and things like that, which will still keep it safe because it's a hardware safety feature. You can also software limit, but using a hardware safety feature, speccing it lower than what it could use at maximum, I believe is safe to do. Okay, so back to our document here, and let me look at the chat for a minute, because I don't know what they said. Maybe go WS2811 COB 24 volt. Yeah, but we could do calculations for that after this. My S3 dev board with one WS2812, where do I power inject? I don't think it needs it. Yeah, 14 meter is only one side, but let's calculate that one side first and then scale it up. Oh, Yella has an interesting question. I will have 900 LED zones in one channel. What will go wrong? Don't need high FPS, so thought it would be fine. Yes, Yella, if let's revisit that real quick. If you go back to my document there, oh god, my browser froze. Oh, there we go. Where is it? Over here. So here's a little table. If you run 600 LEDs, you're at 55 frames per second. That the LEDs can update basically. If you're running 1,000, you drop down to 33 frames per second. And that's basically the problem, because the protocol is a set speed. the more LEDs you add, the slower each LED will update. If you can stay above 42 FPS, which is the default of WLED that it sends out, you're basically good. So that means you can have 793.6 LEDs, almost, while staying at that 42 FPS. But we generally recommend max of 600 because then you're well within those limits. Now, as you can run 1,000, you'll just get slower updates. I believe the maximum limit per channel is about 1,500 or so before it really starts causing a problem with memory buffers and other things. So you're fine running 900 zones. It'll just be a bit slower. So, yeah. Oh, okay, Philip. No, it won't go wrong. It'll just be slower. How much FPS can WS2812B handle? I don't know how fast the internal electronics will update, but in theory, if we look here, if you only have 100 LEDs, you could update at 333 frames per second. Now, I don't think the actual LED will update that fast, but if we're talking persistence of vision, you're more limited by its PWM frequency, which is around 1200 hertz, than the actual LED update rate. So, yeah. No, slower means, well, stuttering, Rob, how do I best describe this? Okay, so instead of it, going this smooth, it'll go this smooth, basically, because if you want to move something from point A to point B, and it has 60 LEDs to do that, and you want it to take 1 second, and you do 60 frames per second, each LED will be lit for a specific amount of time and perfectly 1/60th of a second. But if you only have 30 frames per second, it'll need to do 2 LEDs in the same time because it can take less steps, basically. So it'll have to go very low to be perceived as stuttering, but generally we humans consider something nice and fluid at 60 frames per second, although WLED runs at 42 by default, and that's a good middle ground, basically. But it's not like it'll start to stutter, as in it'll be a variable frame rate. It'll just have less updates and stutter in that way. So stuttering isn't the right word. It's less smooth. It's not going to be like it's not going to stutter in that sense. It'll just be less smooth, as it has less steps in a second to display. No, Philip. It'll be fine. You can run 1200 LEDs on a single channel. That's fine. It'll just, the protocol is just as fast as it is. So when it sends out its data block, you could say that each LED receives those at the same time. But no, that's not the right analogy. Each LED will just get a data signal less often. So instead of sending it out 60 times a second, it'll be sent out 20 times a second. So each LED only responds 20 times a second. So there's no timing issue or whatever, because the individual LED chip in there will just wait until it receives its next signal, and that will be 20 times a second instead of 40 or 60 times a second. So it doesn't really know how many LEDs you've configured. Each single pixel doesn't know how many LEDs you have configured. It just sees a bunch of data packets. It strips off the first one and sends the rest on its way. It has no idea how many there are or whatever. Yeah. Yes, less fluidity and motion. That's correct, Rob. Yeah, but that's not a problem there, Philip. I mean, there's no difference for the ESP if it's doing 600 plus 600 for 2 channels or it's doing 1200 for a single channel. Mika just joined. Can you repeat the math for a 60 Hz display? Sure. I actually still have that webpage open. If you go to Quinled.info and you go to Digitally Addressable LEDs, and then you go to, where is it? What is the maximum amount of addressable LEDs per second? Or per controller, sorry. There are some tables there, and you'll see that you can do about 500 LEDs on a single channel to get 66 frames per second. So then the LEDs will update 66 times per second. But you will have to set this in WLED, and it doesn't work for all effects, to adjust the calculations in WLED itself too. I don't believe that's an issue there, Philip. I haven't heard of that issue before, at least, and I've run 1,000 or 1,200 LEDs on a single channel before, no problem. Okay, we'll do one more question. Okay, we'll do 2 more questions. Sorry there. Marcus Renz asks, let me go to the big screen, asks, will there be a difference between LED strip and LED matrix in regards to the max amount of LEDs? No. If it's WS20 whatever 28XX protocol, it's all the same. So no, doesn't matter if it's pixels, strips, LEDs, matrix, whatever. And let's see, Sami Ruslan asks, how can we set the default animation in WLED to be playlist instead of 50% orange? I don't know if you can select a playlist. You can select a preset. But I don't know if you can select a playlist. It's a good question. I don't know. Right. Let's get back to our document. We just calculated that... Where is my notepad? There. We just calculated that max power is 75 watt and nominal power is 41 watt. Let's round that off to 40 watt. And we're going to calculate nominal power because, as I just explained, in the power sheet you can see that anything you'd run normally will stay below that 40 watt. So 40 watt divided by 12 volt is, calculated time, 33.33 amps, right? So for, no, that's not correct. Wait. 5 meter, let's add 16 feet here because it's 16 feet. So 5 meter slash 16 feet is 40 watt divided by 12 is 3.333 amps. Okay, but now we want, okay, we said 14 meters. That's kind of hard to calculate with. We're doing 15. So I'm just going to update these. I mean, it doesn't make that much of a difference, right? Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so now 15 meters or 16 feet is 120 watts divided by 12 volt is, well, you kind of already know that. That's exactly 10 amps. Okay, does that make sense so far? So now we know we need 10 amps in total power to run our LED strips, or the 15 meters of LED strips. The next thing we need to know is how many power injections do we need? How do you know how many power injections you need? Well, I have some generic rules for that. And we actually tested that in a live stream. So if we go back to the Digitally Addressable LED section on Quinled.info, we have an article there that says, should you replace the wires on an LED strip, or how much can a single injection point handle? And that is exactly what we're looking for. There's a live stream about that. You can watch it. But basically, if we look here, using the default GST plug, we can get about 4 amps into the strip. If we snip off that JST plug and use the wires directly, we can get about 4.75 amps into the strip. If we use the JST plug and the extra wires, we can get about 4.8 amps into the strips. If we replace those wires completely, desolder them, and solder on 16 gauge wire, we can get about 4.86 amps into the strip. Now, I generally round this down a little bit, but if you look here, whatever we do, in an edge injection, you can get about 4 amps effectively before voltage starts dropping massively. Micah, all values I use are from my real world LED datasheet. I generally don't sell LED strip. I do nowadays, but they're basically all the same. So all values we calculate with are from my real world LED datasheet. And those can be found in my Digitally Addressable LED section. And then we have a digital LED power usage sheet. And there you can see all the values I use for 5 volt, 12 volt, and 24 volt. And those are all real world measured. So those are much more correct than what's in the datasheet, because those are generally bogus. The 60 milliamp per LED that floats around the internet, that maybe used to be true for one type of LED 10 years ago, but it hasn't been for a long time. Everybody keeps using it still. It's just not correct. But yeah, okay. Back to this part. Basically, with this, we're going to say a edge injection, so at the edge of an LED strip, can take in about 4 amps. Now, if you have a middle injection, so in the middle of an LED strip, it can basically take in 8 amps if both parts are equally long. But we'll use those two values. So 4 amps or 8 amps, depending on where you inject into the strip, right? Let me copy that real quick, because we'll add that as info. And we'll make a section here, injection points needed. And we'll add this here. There. So we just said we need 10 amps. Okay. But edge is 4 amps and middle is 10 amps. 8 amps, sorry. So we could, well, if you look at this, the only option we have is front plus middle. Oh no, that's not right. We have multiple options actually, but front plus middle is 4 plus 8A. It's not really 8A, but I'll explain that in a second. Is 12 amps, so we're good. We're double good because, as I said, a single edge injection can do about 4 amps, a middle injection can do about 8 amps. If we do a middle injection, but we don't inject the end part, will there be enough power? And if so, can you tell me why? Go. I know the answer. I'm just going to listen to music. Maybe everyone's too shy to answer. Should I make it a poll? Let's start a poll. Enough power. There. That's it. You can vote anonymously. Will there be enough power? Yes or no? Maybe everyone fell asleep. We'll give it 2 minutes. Oh, it seems no is winning. I feel like this is a trick question. No, I'll show you why. Don't worry, don't worry. And this isn't a classroom. It's okay if you get it right or wrong. That's all fine. Okay, the poll now says 1 minute ago. I'll give it a little bit more. No seems to be winning. Repeat question. I was zoned out. Oh no. Okay, so we have a front and a middle injection. In theory, that gives us 4 amps plus 8 amps. But we're not doing an end injection. Will that give us enough power since we have 12 amps and we're good? But do we need that end injection or not? No, there's not going to be 4 amps to the first part of the strips there, Mr. Yeah, Mister. Basically, we're just noting that a edge injection can get 4 amps into the strip, and a middle injection can get 8 amps into the strip. Okay, the poll is saying 2 minutes ago, so I'm ending the poll. And the poll says enough power, no, 55%, yes, 44%. And the actual answer is yes, it will be enough power. Now, why is that? So, the reason is what we noted here. Well, okay, I guess it's not here, but before we said that an edge injection can get about 4 amps into the strip. If we look at the middle injection, well, the middle injection is in the middle. We have 3 strips of 5 meters. In this case, we're using the middle as the middle, okay? Well, nobody can verify if you said yes there, Timothy. Anyway, so let me explain. If we have an edge, which can do 4 amps, and we have a middle, and we're just acting as if this is one 50-meter long strip, and we have a middle there, this gets 4 amps, that's fine. It also gets 4 amps from this way, that's fine too. But if we now say, okay, but what about this end part here? We need a 10 amps in total. But if we say we have a left side and a right side, and I just thought of that I kind of calculated wrong in my head, so now we're just going to calculate this. No, we're good. Are we good? Yes, we're good. If we say we have a left side and a right side, one side is 7.5 meters and the other side is also 7.5 meters. If we then say, okay, if we know that 5 meters is 3.33 amps, if we calculate it or extrapolate to 7.5 meters is... No, wait. That is 4.995 amps. So I guess, in that sense, I guess no and yes is both right. Because that middle injection can get about 4 amps into that strip going right and 4 amps into the strip going left. We're at 4.99 amps that we need basically. So I'd say that is on the edge of doing either it being enough or not enough. In my head, I was thinking of a 5 meter strip because I know that uses 3.33 amps, and then it would always have been fine. But certificates for all. Yeah, I was fooled by my own trick question. I was thinking of 5 meters in my head, and 5 meters only needs 3.33 amps. So then you're always fine, basically. Well, not until you go very far, but in this example. In this case, I'd say with 4.995 amps, you're right around the edge of needing another one or not. And if you're just going to do effects and single colors, you're perfectly fine. Yeah, that's a good one, Philip. That is also true. If you put the edge injection at the 10 meter mark, so we'll look at that. Better plan. We'll do a front injection plus a second middle injection is 4 plus 8 amps is we're first 5 meter strip gets 3.33 amps from first edge injection. Second strip 5 meters strip. Live editing this document here. First 5 meter strip gets 3.33 amps from first edge injection because that's what we calculated it'll need for 5 meters. A second will gets okay, whatever. From edge injection between second and third strip. And the third 5 meter strip gets 3.33 amps from no. There. So let's say we have front 5 meter, middle 5 meter, middle 5 meter, end. We're injecting here, and we're injecting, well, basically like this. So we have a front on the first 5 meter strip. We're injecting over there. Then we have a 5 meter strip. Then we have a middle point. We're not doing anything there. We're just connecting it together. Then we have another 5 meter strip. We're injecting a middle point there. So basically we're connecting cables to both of the strips that come together there. Then we have another 5 meter strip. And then we have an end point where we don't inject. In my initial thoughts, Dutch Taurus, yes, it was actually what I was thinking of, but we also looked at this, and that would also work, but it involves more work because you actually have to solder the strip directly onto the strip itself, and in this case, you can just use the extra little wires that are on there already. So let me check what all the chat is saying. Did I win a free Dig Octa? No, sorry there, Machine Gun Mac. Yeah, Keith, it's right on the edge there. It's pretty close. You can't have a maybe in a yes-no game. That's cheating. Sorry there, Cookie Mister. Yeah, but Machine Gun Mac, remember, this will only work in a 12 or 24 volt scenario. It will not work in a 5 volt scenario. But we're doing a 12 volt scenario right now. But yeah. So let me look at the other questions that were asked. Wizard asks, when injecting and using an older DIG quad with your resistor at the start of each run, do you only run power from the quad or from the power supply with a fuse in line and just keep the ground in line? You always use the power from the DIG quad, because then you have the fuses in there. I'm not sure why you'd bypass it and go directly to the PSU. Those resistors are only on the data line, not on the power lines. So moving those to the power supply would make no difference whatsoever. Let's see. Micah C asks, do you support higher voltage for long runs? I'm looking at putting these on the outside of my house on the roof lines. I want to use your products. I have AC outlets for holiday lights. What do you mean by supporting higher voltages for long runs? You can run, say, 24 volt to your 5 volt pixels, but then you need a buck converter at each point you're injecting power. Is that what you mean? Or are you talking about using the little screw and making it 14 volts instead of 12 volts? If that's what you're talking about, no, I don't recommend that. Keith Baumgart asks, this theoretical, we'd need to use a quad, not an Uno, due to power limitations of the board, right? No, we're only using 10 amps, and a DIG Uno can handle 10 amps just fine. But a DIG quad would make it easier if we're talking for a 15 meter run, because then you have multiple injection points and things like that. So yeah, you can use an Uno, but then you'll need Wago blocks and splitting it externally, and preferably a fuse on each injection line. But at that point, you can just better get a DIG quad, and that has the power distribution and fusing right on there, and then you're done. And for the 60 meter scenario, we'll calculate after this. Yeah, if you're talking about all of the installs, you'd need something bigger. But we'll look at that after this. Oh, the buck converter sounds interesting, but as I'm referring to if there are 24 volt or 48 volt LEDs. No. There is a Chinese company making 48 volt LEDs, but those basically have a buck converter per LED, and that gets expensive real quick. Then you're paying like $1 or $2 per LED. So at the end, I think you can better do some extra cable management. Okay, for 25 meter run, can I use PSU to inject? Well, in theory, if it's the same power supply, yes. If it's a different power supply, also yes, but you need to cut the positives in between, so you actually need to do extra wiring work for that. And I'd still recommend a fuse per injection line. But we'll get to that, because we basically now know that we need to do... Okay, so we need to do 2 injections. 1 meter front with 4 amps, and let's say 11 meter middle with 8 amps. Right? That's basically what we just calculated. We calculated how many injection points we needed, then where those injection points needed to be, and the best plan was to have it at the front and the second middle. So we're saying, okay, the cable is 1 meter and 11 meters from our DIG quad controller, let's say. But then how do we know what cable size we need? Okay. Well, we just said we need 1 meter with 4 amps, and we need 11 meter with 8 amps. So let me prepare something real quick. No. I like using a voltage drop calculator. cable diameter calculations. There. Front, we need... So I like using a voltage drop calculator and... What? It's my girlfriend. Can I open the garage door? I hear it opening. What is even going on? Hello? 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 It's a ghost. Hello? Oh, she's here. Okay. If anyone was in doubt, this is live. This is live.
I forgot my key, so I needed to open the garage door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. This. Anyway, now I've completely forgot where it was. Take a drink. Okay, cables. We need to calculate diameters. So we're going to the voltage drop calculator. And there we're going to say we have meters. We have 1 meter of DC. We have 12 volts. And we need 4 amps. Wizard, in any case, at all times, you run positive and negative together. So you never inject positive only. You always run positive and negative together. Okay, and let's calculate. Well, with 18 gauge, we can even use let's say 20 gauge. I wouldn't go below 20 gauge. So for this, we can say 20 gauge cable is fine for this part. So if we go back to the notepad, we need 20 gauge, and let's also calculate it in square W whatever. Wait, where's the link for that? AWG to mm. I want that link. There. And we said 20 gauge is 0.5 millimeters square. Okay. Nope, that's wrong. There. Now, for middle, we need 8 amps for 11 meters. I don't know about that, Philip. I'll read the chat in a minute. Hold on. Okay, so we said we need 11 meters with 8 amps. Calculate. Well, 20 gauge is going to lose 48% or 5.8 volts. That's not going to work. Our target number is less drop than 10%. So let's go to 16 gauge. Nope, that's not going to work. 14 gauge. 14 gauge is pretty close. If something like 13 gauge exists, that would be our perfect number. So let's just add that here. 13 AGW. And if we take a look at what that is in size for millimeter square, that's 2.6 millimeters square. Now, I just typed a note there. The dig quad, if we're using that, pardon me, the largest wire diameter you can get in a dig quad is about 16 gauge with a wire fill. And we need about 13 gauge, but let's say you use 12 gauge. That won't fit in the terminal of a dig quad. It will in the terminal of a dig octa, but it won't fit in the terminal of of a D quad. What you can do is you can use, for instance, a 16 gauge cable and then step it up after that to a 13 or 12 gauge cable, because we need the amps, or we need the cable size for distance, not for the amps. If you'd say, I want to run 80 amps for 1 meter, then you need the cable size or cable diameter for the amount of amps you want to run. But in this case, we just need the amount of copper for the long distance to have as little as drop as, below the 10%. So then having a small pigtail wire at the front of your D quad going to the bigger wire, and then at the end of that long run, again from the big wire, the 12 gauge, to the 2 injection wires, that's fine. You can have those 2 pigtails at the end in a smaller diameter. That's no problem at all. And you just need the big amount of copper for the long distance. Well, don't make it meters there, Machine Gun Mac, but if you make it 10 or 20 centimeters, that's fine. That's no problem at all. So, let me read back what Ronald Flo is. Why don't you start with the power injection point? Why don't you start with the power at the injection point and go from there to the front? Then you can go 4 amp with 11 meter. I have no clue what you mean. Let me look up there. What happened when Sandra came in? Hilarious, yeah. He's really giggly while she knows it's funny. So anyway, yeah. No, I don't have my door control in Home Assistant there. Yeah, Cookie, I've looked into these calculators, and there's some community ones that are pretty decent. But the problem is that I find that when people just fill in a number in a calculator and it spits out other numbers, it doesn't make them understand. And calculating it like this and actually explaining why certain things are and not just that they are so, I feel that explains a lot more of what they're actually doing, so they actually understand and can, figure out what they actually need to do, instead of just looking at a number like, yeah, I don't know. Yellow Peter says he meant put the PSU closer to the center so you can run a less long wire to the beginning, since it's less power. Sure, that works. Only problem is your data wire is then going to be very long, and there's also limits to that. And as we discussed earlier in the stream, 5 meters up to 10 meters generally works fine, unless it encounters some kind of interference. But yeah, sure, that can work. You can call me Mac. Okay. So yeah, that is actually a good idea. You can put the power supply more around the middle section, so you can keep that wire shorter, because that's going to carry 4 amps or 8 amps. That's going to carry 8 amps, and then run that 4 amp wire to the beginning, which then would be the longer wire. And if we look at the calculator, we can do that real quickly. If we say, okay, we don't need 8 amps, but we need 4 amps, but the distance is the same, we can now use, I think, a 16 gauge. Yeah, we can now use a 16 gauge wire, which will also fit in the D quad. Only downside is that your data wire is going to be much longer. But generally 10 meters should work okay. Thanks there, Mac. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's exactly why I like to do these things now and then. So let's look at the notepad real quick. So we now know our total power usage. So with that, we can figure out a power supply. So we know we need about 10 amps, so get a 12 amps or so power supply. We also now know that a single data channel is fine, because we only need 300 zones. So that's going to work fine. We not also calculated that we need to do 2 injections at minimum. We can do more, but at minimum we need 2 injections. That is also, by the way, an option. If you're like, okay, I don't like this having to... No, can we do that? Yeah. An alternative could be running more wires. If you'd say, I want to run a front injection, a middle injection here, a middle injection here, and an end injection here, in theory, the amount of power it uses doesn't go up. So each injection point will have a lower power demand, and thus you could also use a smaller wire size. Is that something we want to calculate? Yeah, Philip, you can do that if you're running X lights or something like that. But if you're running WLED effects, no, you can reverse per output, right? Oh, wait, let me check. No, sorry, you can reverse the outputs, so you can still make it a single segment. Yeah, you can also do that. That's, yeah. Okay, let's do the Uber alternative scenario. But we'd still... No, yeah. The problem is we have 3 strips, so there is no middle. But let's say we above scenario with 15 meter of 60 LEDs a meter, LEDs per meter, 12 volt of its strip. First 5 meter, move controller to first middle. So we have strip, controller, strip, strip, okay? And that means that power injection to all points. Let's just say we're going to do power injection at all points, right? That means we're going to have, let's take this one again. So we have a front, first middle, eerste middle, no, first middle, second middle, and we have end. And we're going to define these as 1 meter, 6 meters, 11 meters, and 16 meters, okay? But since we said we only need 10 amps, we kind of need to divide the amps between that. So let's say this will do 4, this will do 4, this will do 2, and this will do 2. That's more, that's slightly more, because that's 2A plus 4A plus 4A, oh, plus 2A is 12A. But we need to calculate something, because if you have a 5-meter strip and each side has a power injection, the way the power divides is governed by the resistance. And if the resistance is equal, it'll draw power exactly equal from both sides. So if you have 300 LEDs and power here and power here, the middle LED will get its power evenly from both sides because the resistance is perfectly equal. Okay, does that make sense? If we now take an LED that's more on this side of the strip, it'll get more power from this side. And if we take an LED that's on this side of the strip, it'll get more power from this side. But it'll still get some power from this side too. So the LEDs on the strip will draw power from basically the point of least resistance. And in theory, that is the point that is closest. So that is also why it's the reason why we do power injection and also why power injection works. And that if suddenly one of the points would fall away, it's not like the other point would suddenly give you a lot more power or draw 20 amps or something like that. That can't happen because of the resistance. But that's also why we know that if we inject at 0 meters and 5 meters, that the LEDs closest to here will draw from here, and the LEDs closest to here will draw from here. Hope that makes sense. Anyway, let's continue these calculations. I'm going to do it real quick. So we're going to say we need 1 meter with 2 amps. Let's say we didn't want to go below 20, so 20 gauge. No, don't do that. Okay. 20 gauge is fine. Then we want to have 6 meter with 4 amps. That is, okay. No, I didn't do that correctly. 6. Okay, we need 18 gauge. No, wait. We were moving the controller, right? Sorry. I did this wrong. The front is now 6 meters. This one is now 1 meter. This one is 6 meter. And this one is 11 meter. You need to pay attention there, guys. So 6 meters for 2 amps. Sorry, I didn't show it. We moved the controller to the first middle, right? So the controller is over here. Okay. So 6 meters with 2 amps. Let's see what that does. 6 meters with 2 amps. Can we use 20 gauge? Yeah, we can use 20 gauge because that's still only a 6% drop. So, okay, that's still good. Then we need 1 meter of 4 amps. That's the same thing. So 20 gauge is fine. Let me note that down. Then we need 6 meters of 4 amps. That's too much. 18. Okay, that's fine. So that's 18 gauge. I'll show you in a minute. Hold on. And then we need 11 meters, which will only do 2. And 18 gauge is fine for that too. Is 20 gauge okay for that? Nope. Because we want to stay below that 10%. Okay, so we need 18 gauge. There. You'll need to run more cables, but because we're running more cables, you can use much thinner cable, and it'll actually be a better scenario because power is distributed more evenly. There's less LED strip in between there. And our cable runs are basically, well, this one is the same length, but it's a lot smaller amperage. So in the end, this would actually be a better scenario if you can do it like that. But it'll involve more connections, more cables to manage, a longer data wire, although it's only going to be 6 meters. So that's okay. That should be fine. Yeah. Rob, I've thought of doing that, and maybe doing a announcement or asking for scenarios and stuff like that on the Discord at some point, but I haven't done yet so far. But I do love our showroom channel, so Pimp Daddy Jesus, just throw in those questions. Let's see here. Voltage sag. I think you need the injections. So for long runs, Micah C asks, so for long runs, do you usually power inject or just run a higher gauge and high amps? Well, as we just said, you need to take into account that a single 4 amp or a single an edge injection will only do 4 amps and a middle injection will do 8 amps. So at some point, you'll just have to have more injections because more amps isn't going to help. And to support those high amps, you need a certain cable diameter for a certain distance. So it all basically works out in the math. You calculate total power. Total power dictates how many injection points you need and where those need to be. And then you calculate your cable diameter for those injection points. So, yeah. Yellow Peters, I think I already caught that. So front is 6 meters and first middle is where our controller is now. That's 1 meter. You might have typed this before I caught that. And second middle is then 6 meters again, and then the end is 11 meters. So Mac asks, what size fuse should I use when injecting from the PSU? 5 amp or 10 amp based on WS2011? Well, that's very simple. We just said an edge injection will only do 4 amps and a middle injection will only do 8 amps. Is it an edge injection? Doesn't matter how far it is away. It'll only do 4 amps max. So you need a 5 amp fuse. That's why there's 5 amp fuses on my boards. And is it a middle injection? Then you need a 10 amp. That's it. You mashed the enter button right when you noticed it yourself. Damn! Oh, it's good you caught it. Now, there's some tricks. There's some tricks, right? If we look on Quinled.info, we just said we couldn't run a 12 gauge cable on a DIG quad. That's actually not true. If we go to the Digitally Addressable LED section, and we go to what size fork or ring crimps do I need for Quinled DIG or a Meanwell PSU? If we look in there, we see, okay, we're talking about these style fork crimps, you know, which I like using on the inputs of the DIG quad and the DIG octa. Okay, blah, 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 blah. There's all kinds of explanation here, but the special double terminal trick. Oh, what's that? This is it showing with a DIG octa, but it also works on a DIG quad. You can actually use one of these fork terminals to use 2 of the outputs of a DIG quad. So if we take a look at my desk here, let's zoom this in a little bit. It's a bit dark because I wasn't prepared for desk shots. Can I make it less dark? No, I can't. Okay, well, too bad. Basically, these 2 terminals here are shared, and these 2 terminals here are shared too, while these are individual outputs. What you can do is you can take... come on. Ow. You can use a plier to get the fuses out. You can take out this fuse, put in a 10 amp fuse, and then use a fork terminal. Do I have one here? I think I have one here. I can just use the... okay, hold on. I just want to show you real quick. I think this is a correct one. Yep, should be good. You can then use a fork terminal and basically put it into both of those outputs with a 10 amp fuse in there. There, that makes a great connection because it's, you know, each leg is in a separate terminal. You put a 10 amp fuse in there, and well, is this a 12 gauge? I don't remember. Yes, this is actually, you probably can't see that. This is actually a 12 gauge cable. But you can also do this up to 10 gauge because you can easily get fork terminals or fork crimps up to 10 gauge like that. And then you can easily have a 12 gauge into your DIG quad, and this works perfectly fine. I've tested that, I've run that multiple times. So that way, okay, I'll for the image, I'll put a 10 amp fuse in here. There. There we go. So now you have two terminals in use, so you have less terminals, but they share the fuse anyway, and then you can run that 12 or 10 gauge cable on your DIG quad, no problem at all. Right? Easy peasy. And this is a very good sturdy connection. That's not going anywhere. And I explain in the guide which type of fork terminal to get for that. And that also works on the DIG Octa. That's all in this article here. Oh, no, don't do that. So you do need a special tool for that. But then it works great. And on the DIG Octa, you can go up to 20 amps that way. See, there's an article for everything. I need a break. Let's see what everyone's saying. You're planning on running 2 COB strips, 720 LEDs a meter neon, with 1 DIG Uno. Not very long strips, 4 meters and 2 meters. What is the max amperage the DIG Uno can handle while running 24 volts? In theory, it can handle the same amount of amps. So I'd say sustained, I'd recommend about 10 amps to max 15, 20 amps or something like that. It can handle more, but you run into cable limitations, you can get into the terminals basically. But we'll do some 24 volt calculations after this. That's fun. Quindoor on the road. Quin LED lights the way. I don't know about that. Are these devices okay to run outdoors in an enclosure? Where am I? Where you're at, it can get very hot, like 45°C. In theory, they're going to be fine. People have been running them at like minus 30°C or in the 40°C hot summer, and as far as I've heard and I'm aware, none have failed and they've run perfectly fine. So you should be able to do that. Yes. Maybe add a little fan there if your power supply is in there too, but you know. You're currently building a matrix with about 53 meters of WS2815. There will be 540 watts since its WS2815 max power will be achieved with effects. That is correct. Very good there, EarthAimer. How much overhead should I calculate wires, PSU, and fuses? I would use 10% more than max for fuses and about 20% for PSU and 8%. Yeah, having a 20% overhead there is perfectly fine. But I'd say with a 540 watt, you can, for instance, get a LRS 600. That will do 600 watt. I think that'll be close enough. Because if it'll only reach maximum 100% output if you're doing either 100% red, green, or blue, or white. Basically all the same. For WS2815. But if you're using it as a matrix, you generally wouldn't do that. So I'd say an LRS 600 for the cases that does happen should be fine. Yeah. Still hoping to run dig quads on my car using for turn signals relay and brake relay. I don't know about that. Yeah, just catching up. That's okay. So, do we feel any values are missing for what we just went through? Let me save this document, by the way. Save. There. Because we know total power, we know injection points, we know how much we need per injection point, and we know... Oh, wait. 60 meter scenario. 4 times above. That's what we initially talked about, right? Sorry if I forgot about that. I have seen, or I've looked at the God's lighting controllers. I guess they're okay. The most special thing they have is that they have 12 volt inputs and custom software, I guess. But yeah. What do you recommend for fusing injection points? You mean outside of my own board? Or what are we talking about? Right, 60 meter scenario. That means we need 10 amps for 15 meter times 4 is 40 amps. Okay. And we also need You mean outside of the board? Generally, what I would do is I have this on my website here somewhere. In my using fuses for increasing safety article, there is a link to these kind of boards, and those I like. You can or you can get a dig quad, but I guess that's expensive, or a dig octa power board. Those will also work. But if you go to AliExpress and get one of these, those will work too. Why is the small one more expensive than the big one? That makes no sense. I don't know why that is. But yeah, you can get these. You have one negative post. You connect with a really thick wire and either fork or a ring terminal. Then you have all these posts as negative. And let me show you a bigger picture. Oh, okay, let's look at this one. So you have one post here. You put in a thick wire. Then you have these as negative. And then you have one post here for the positive. You can use fuses and then have wires leading out of there. Yeah. These work great. These are fine. Well, they've got lots of pictures here. Yeah, same here. Big positive cable, big negative cable, and then leads coming off of that, and for positive with fuses, right? Or you go to Dig Octa, and there we have the Power 5, Power 7, and Power 7 HC, and you can just get a power board. And then you don't have to use one giant thick cable, but you can use all the 3 terminals on your Meanwhile power supply, run it into the positive side, run it into the negative side. It actually has input fuses and then output fuses. And you have the Power 5 and the Power 7. Those are made to be run with the Octa, but you don't have to do that. So if you have a lot of power to distribute, I'd use one of the power boards, or alternatively, you can use a third-party one like this. And, that should be fine. Mac, Worldwide should have them in stock. We're working on a giant shipment, the biggest ever, but it'll be on the slow boat. And in the meanwhile, we'll do an incremental update for the US store too, but it'll be limited supply. But yeah, we're certainly working on that. Chris has been playing with a Dig Octa brainboard and a Power 7. Those things are amazing. Thank you very much there, Chris. That's much appreciated. Yes, the HC version has 100 amp power handling. Then you'll need to have decent input cables too. But yes, this one is a behemoth. Lots of copper in there. Shipping to the UK is fine. We do that daily. Shipping rates can be somewhat high, but we're constantly working on trying to keep those down. But that's the sad reality of shipping things from China to UK or anywhere else, really. Shipping is just expensive. But we are working on plans to try and lower that also for the EU, like having a local shop here or something like that. It'll always be more expensive per board because there are some extra costs to calculate in there. But now that our volume keeps increasing, at some point we can scale up to having a local store here, adding like a few bucks to the board, and then you won't have the high shipping rates per board anymore. But yeah, we're working towards that. Right, we were calculating something. But I think most of the things you kind of need to know is for a 60 meter scenario, that's 4 times the scenario we just calculated. We need 10 amps times 4, so that's 40 amps in total. And we need 4 data channels because we have the 4 sides. You don't have to. You can run it on 2 data channels actually. We also need 2 data channels. 2 sides of the house. But you can also run 4, whatever works out best. Which board is suited? Dig Octa for sure. Dig Quad on the edge, we'll say. So a Dig Octa can handle this easily in regards to power and everything else. Dig Quad, officially it's max 30, or no, it's 30 amps continuous with a 50 amp peak. So since we calculated nominal usage, you'll likely on average be well below the nominal usage when you're doing effects and things like that. So a Dig Quad would work fine, but a Dig Octa would certainly make things a lot easier. And personally, I'd probably split the project in 2 and having 2 controllers on the edges of your house or in the middle of your house somewhere or something like that, because otherwise you're going to run into wiring issues and very long data wires and things like that. So yeah. You're curious about the giant numbers for the board? Which numbers exactly? Oh, some stats for what I'm selling. Yeah, I generally try to keep that to myself. It also varies a lot per month and things like that. There's no real generic number. I sometimes name numbers like we produced another 1,000 or another 2,000 and things like that. But we're generally producing in the thousands, like 1, maybe 2,000, like in November and December. But yeah. Appreciate your time there, says Mac. Gotta go, but this live stream has been super valuable. Cheers. Thanks a lot, Mac. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Super helpful, says Chris. Awesome. So let's do one more scenario. We've been going 1.5 hours, but we can go a little bit longer. Let's say we use the 12 volt addressable COB LED strip. And we have a giant room. We have a massive room, and we want to do 20 meters of it. Right? Okay. Oh, wait. What scenario is that, Emil? 1,400 white LED strips. 19 watt per meter and 24... Well, that's just a simple calculation, isn't it? You have 1,400 LED strips. of 2.8 meters. And it uses 19 watt per meter. So that's, where's my calculator? Okay, 2.8, no, 2.8, 2.8, no. Times 19, so 53 watt per strip. You have 1400 times 53 watt. How do you have 1400 strips? That's a lot there. That's 7. Okay, I don't know which decimal to use, so we're going to, or 74 kilowatt. Okay. Divided by 24 volt. That's 3091 amps. I believe there are, what's this called again? HRP 1200s or SE 1200s. Let me look that up real quick. In my Dig Octa guides, I have a power supply recommendation article. And if you want to use up to 50 amps, but we want to use up to high current, up to 100 amps, I recommend, oh, you have a 1500 minus 12. I believe you'll also have a, let me Google that real quick. Do we also have a 24 volt variant? Yes. Oh, we have an RSP 1500 minus 24. Okay. I'll need to look up the specs for that. I don't know. Or an SE, as I said. Sure, that will work too. It's a little bit cheaper. We'll do the calculations for the COB after this. Let me just look this up real quick. Oh, I hate this website. It's always so slow. So, a SE 1500 with 24... So this one here will output 1500 watt. You do need to check that because often a 5 volt variant will output less than a 24 volt variant. But in this case, it's the same. So we have an SE 1500. Where are we calculating this? Okay. So let's say the HRP 1500 or SE 1500. No. What did we say? 74 2000 watt divided by 1500 watt is 7422. You'll need 50 power supplies at least. That's one beast of a project there, Victor. I guess if you need 50, you can probably step up to an even bigger power supply, but then we're talking crazy things. So well, that's one big project there, Victor. Oh, sorry. Sorry there, Emil. Sorry about that. Well, yeah, that's one crazy project. That's a lot of power. They're running DC cables for that. I would imagine they're running AC through the garage and then have DC power supplies located more closely. Oh yeah, they have HLD 600 inside of the cable ducts. Yeah, that would make more sense because you don't want to make those DC cables too long. So, oh wait, Jardo's right. I already opened it. Oh no, we need a new label. We need a new label, and then we'll do the 20 meters of COB LED strip. No worries. What should we put on there? Do we want Coca-Cola Zero Cherry Neon or... Okay, I'll let chat decide. Let me start a Giga label. Giga, okay. What else? It's, I believe Chardo mentioned it. Chardo, what should we put on there? You can go for it. Chardo, what do you want on this can of Coke? Can't label an open product. Yes, you can. Don't worry about it. No more warranty. Yeah, that's excellent, Emil. But yeah, that's all, you know, fancy products. We'll give Chardo a minute here to reply with a name for on the can. Yes, you can. Okay. If that's his response, it's going on the can. There we go. It might be too long. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Wait, this is wrong. This will be the longest label yet. We'll see. Go. Here it goes. It's still going. I'm not quite sure about this one, but here is the Yes You Can by Chardo. And we'll now try and get it on the can, but I'm afraid it's going to overlap itself. There is a maximum amount of cannage. I'll do it, you know, diagonally. So let's start here. And then let's see. Oh no. It's slightly too diagonal, so I'll have to fold the edge here. There. And now we have it. Yes, you can. Smiley. Coca-Cola Zero Cherry. Oh yeah. It's the best. I hope that's what you wanted, Chardo. I don't know. At least the text isn't overlapping, so that's good, right? Oh, do it over here. Yeah. Yes, you can. Yeah, it still works. Still works. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Notepad. Where are we? I'm going to scrap this out of the document there, Emil. So, yeah, you'll have to save this yourself. I'll edit this document anyway, but yeah. 20 meters of 24-volt addressable COB LED strip. Full power. Nominal power. Well, let's just steal this from here above. Let's steal all of this. And then let's just total power for 20 meter. I'm just going to edit this real quick. Nope. Okay, we'll do that. Okay. So, we're going to say 5 meters of 16 feet. Let's look that up. We go back to my website here. Digitally addressable LEDs. we go to the digital LED power sheet, and then we go to the 24 volt sheet. And there we can see that the COB is over here. It uses 112 watt with RGB white. So I'm just going to fill that in, 112 watt. And it uses, wait, I filled that in at the wrong point there. And RGB white uses 59 watt, right? 59 watt, there. So then we can go back to the notepad. 112 watt divided by 12 volt is 24 volt, Jesus. 4.6 or comma 6 amps. I'm in Europe, it's a comma. Sorry about that. Now we want 20 meters or 64 feet is 112 times 4. 448 watts divided by 24. That's 18.6 amps that we need to divide and, you know, take into account. Okay, now we need to calculate the injection points we need. We need, let's say, 20 amps. Let's over-dimension it. We need about 20 amps. You know, we calculated that here. So, okay, 20 amps total. We have a strip layout. If we look at it one-dimensionally, we have a front strip, middle, no. Right, so we have the front, then we have the first strip, middle, second strip, middle, third strip, middle, fourth strip, and the end. Okay? Now, that is data-wise, so data-wise, there are 100 zones per 5 meter strip. We have 4 strips, so data-wise, we only need a single LED data channel and we're fine with 400 zones. That's still well below the 600 we recommend. Right? Power-wise, that's going to be interesting. The power rules are still the same. 4 amps for edge connection. Max 8 amps for middle connection or injection. Right? So rules are still the same. Doesn't matter which voltage we're running. The rules are always the same. We need 20 amps. So where should we inject that? What do we think of the people over here? You know, this is an interactive live stream. Where should we inject? I'll make a proposition here. Let's do front, middle, end. That means 3 injections. And that is 4 plus 8 plus 4 is 16 amps. So that means we're slightly short. But if we take a look at the power sheet again, the 60 watt mark here, if we take a single color, we're at 46 watts. And if we take an effects, we're at 43 watts. This one doesn't go above 35 watts. This doesn't go above 42 watts. So I'd say in general, 16 amps will be okay, but it's on the edge. If you want to be really perfect, you'd use the 20 amps figure, but then you'd also have to have a lot more cables and injections and things like that. So let's say we want to keep cables down to the minimum whatsoever, and we're going to run with 16 amps. Can we live with that? Hey, thanks there, EarthGamerXE, for being here. See you later. I'm waiting for someone to respond that we can live with that. Or we could do a different scenario, but we'd need more cables or a different layout. What do you guys want? Do you want this scenario, which is slightly on the edge, or do you want a better scenario? Sure, yeah, okay. This is an interactive stream, okay? So we're removing the front, and then we're doing middle, 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 and no end. That gives us 8 plus 8 plus... No, that's actually not true. It doesn't give us 8 plus 8. It gives us 8 plus 4-ish. Plus, yeah. No. Yeah. No. No. Okay, it gives us this. 6 plus 8 plus 6. So the reasoning is... let's say this one needs about 5 amps. Wait. So this strip needs about 5 amps. This strip needs about 5 amps. And that strip also needs about 5 amps. So this one, this middle, will deliver about 5 to the left, but only, say, 2.5. No, I need to calculate this. Hold on. So this will do 5 amps that way, about 2.5 that way. This will do 2.5 plus 2.5. And this will do... Yes. So, okay. So bear with me here. This front strip, so this one here, needs 5 amps. That means this middle injection will give about 5, 4 to 5, whatever. Wait, no, that doesn't seem right. We did it all wrong. We were completely wrong. This is wrong. someone spot the mistake I made? We'll continue with this scenario, but can someone spot the mistake I made? There's a mistake I made fairly close to the beginning. No, 24 volts correct. No, voltage is correct. It's 24 volts. Nope, didn't forget another 8 amps. We'll continue as we are going, and then we'll do the correct scenario. But wattage, yes, Vin, that's correct. I'm using the wrong wattage. Over here, I said 5 volt, 5 meter, 16 feet will use 112 watt. But that's the max power usage value and not the nominal power usage value. And since this is WS2811, which divides by whatever, 12 LEDs or whatever, we can use the nominal value. We don't have to use the maximum value. So we're over-calculating this setup for anything else except 100% RGB white, which you should never use. And if you use it, you could still run it power limited. So we're basically over-dimensioning this setup twofold. Right? Do we get that? But still, it's interesting to look at. Let me calculate this. 12 is 20 amps. Yeah. So in the scenario, well, I'll finish this scenario and then we'll scale it down to what you should actually build. If we say we need 5 amps here for this strip, 5 amps here for this strip, 5 amps here for this strip, and 5 amps here for this strip. This injection here will deliver 5 amps going to the left, right, for this part of the strip, but only 2.5 amps going into this strip here in the middle, because the next injection will also only deliver 2.5 amps going to the strip here in the middle. It's not going to use more than it can use. If it can use 112 watt, we can power inject 20 amps, but it's not going to use it. So 2 times 2.5 is the 5 amps that strip will use at maximum. Right? Then we go to the other injection. We have 2.5 amps here, 2.5 amps here. That will feed this 5 meter strip, which also only needs 5 amps. Right? And then going to the right, we have, so this is wrong actually, this needs to be 5, 7.5, 7.5, it's 20 amps. And then for the most right middle injection, we have 5 amps going this way, which will feed this 5 meter strip, which needs 5 amps. So this way we will get the 20 amps, but if you want to calculate realistic usage, you could say that this middle injection can do up to 8 amps, and it can, but only if these injection points aren't there. Does that make sense? Oh yeah, I make mistakes. I have to calculate this stuff too. Okay, let's move away from the full power scenarios. Because basically that's what we did. And let's copy all of this real quick. And let's do it for nominal power. So now this is, let's say, 60 watt. This is 240 watt. Per strip, we don't need almost 5 amps. We need 60 divided by 24 is 2.5 amps. That means we only need 10 amps in total. So we need 10 amps. The strip layout stays the same. The data zones stay the same. Power rules stay the same. But injection can now be a lot easier. Let's say we're wrapping around a room with 20 meters. So we have a front injection. And we don't have a middle injection, actually. And we have an end injection. That means we have 4A plus 4A is 8 amps. Now, again, that's living on the edge. But as we just looked at for generic effects and even single colors and things like that, you will be fine. But there's one thing to consider. Maximum span until middle. So the maximum span until the middle of injection points. And especially with 5 volt, this is important. With 12 volts, it's less important. With 24 volts, it's even less important. But I always calculate if I can feed, how many strips can I feed from a single injection point and it'll still run okay. That means it's also my middle point. So basically what I'm saying is if single injection can support, let's say, single injection is 4 amps, each strip is 2.5 amps, means single edge injection can support almost 2 strips is 10 meters. Does that make sense? So a single strip to run nominally needs 2.5 amps. That means if you have 2 strips, that needs about 5 amps. A single injection can deliver about 4 amps in edge injection. So you can say I can run 2 strips off a single injection. Okay, that means having our middle point between injections up to 10 meters is fine. So we have an edge injection here, an edge injection here, and we have 20 meters between that. We just said, okay, we can run 10 meters off a single injection. So having the 10 meters middle point with this setup, that's going to be fine. Does that make sense? Because depending on the voltage you're running, let's say you're running 5 volt strip, that basically already needs a front plus end injection for a 5 meter strip. 12 volt, you can stretch that a bit. You can run half power for 10 meters or so when limited. But yeah, there's an end to how much you can string together without it becoming a problem, basically, because even with 24 volt, you'll start to seeing drop and things like that. So, yeah, I basically always look at it like that. If a single injection can run 2 strips, running multiple injections means I can have the same length between injections as the middle point. Hope that makes sense. Yep, that's correct, Pimp Jesus. So let's calculate the rest of that. So we're saying let's beef that up a little bit. We're going to go with 2 injections and calculate with 5 amps per injection. Yeah, we're having 2 injections at 1 meter. Yeah, that's not going to be very special, is it? If we go to our browser, we have 1 meter, we have 24 volt, we have 5 amps. Yeah. Yeah, it's not going to matter too much what kind of cable you use. So let me just check what 20 gauge is again. I believe 0.5. Yeah, okay. Yeah, 20 gauge, 0.5 M2, all fine. Yeah, easy peasy. Yeah, you can run a power limiter if you want. Especially because we didn't calculate for full white. You can see that the full white scenario, the full power scenario, is a lot more involved. But if we just use realistic scenarios, what you're actually going to do, this is going to run fine. M87, it is exactly the same as all the other controllers. So if you go to the website, and you're here at the front page, you go to Digital Addressable LEDs, and then there is an article called "What is the maximum amount of addressable LEDs per controller?" You click here. There's an explanation in there. And then if you go to the Dig Octa system, I think I need to rename this article. There is a system usage examples, which will run through some system usages and also how many LEDs for that. And there is, I don't think I have an article per LEDs. There's some example scenarios here with a lot of information in there. Yeah, I'd read through those articles. There's also the Brainboard article itself, with its specifications. I think it's in there too. Suggested handling capabilities. WLED, I recommend about 2,000 LEDs per WLED instance, and then use another Brainboard. And ESP Pixel Stick V4, you can use around 3,000 LEDs, generally speaking. So yeah, lots of articles there, but it's on there. I get it, it's hard to find sometimes. So yeah. It's for a 12-year-old. Rainbow, basically, 24/7. Okay, well, we actually have that scenario in our sheet. So if you go to the power sheet, if we go to Rainbow 100% is 42 watts. 42 times 4 divided by 24 is 7 amps. So you're perfect. You're perfectly... Wait, let me make that bigger. You're perfectly in rainbow territory. 100% all day long. Yeah, so a Dig Uno, maybe with a little Wago at the end. So you go in with a 16 gauge, and then you split that using a Wago to two 20 gauge or 18 gauge or whatever you want to use. All fine. Yep. Or you could even use the pigtail wires on the LED strip itself into the Wago, or whatever works out in the end. Let's see, Rob de Graaf says, in my case, I will have 4 times 5 meter 24 volt COB strip connected to a central dig quad. None of the LED strip will be longer than 1 strip. How many meters power and data can I have before the edge? Oh, well, if you're only running 1 strip, you don't need an edge injection, Rob, because we just calculated that a single strip will use 5 meters, 16 feet, will use 60 watts, so 2.5 amps. So if you're running all of them as a single strip, that's fine. Single injection, all good, no problem. Maximum usage. You could even run almost this, right? I mean, how many meters before each strip starts? Ah, from the board, you mean? Well, it depends on the cable size. Thanks, M87. So if we look at the web page again, voltage drop, we have 24 volt and we need, let's say, 3 amps, right? Let's go 10 meters. So even with 0.5 millimeter square or 20 gauge, we can go 10 meters. Okay, if we go 15 meters, maybe we need 18 gauge. And 18 gauge, so 20 gauge is 0.5 millimeter square. 18 gauge is 0.8. So because it's 24 volt strip, it's really easy. It's the stupid 5 volt strips those are the problem. 24 volts easy. Yes, that would be an easy build. Absolutely. You can basically use anything. I mean, you could even use, let's say 10 meters, use 22 gauge. Oh, okay. We can't use 10. Hello? I can't type anymore. There. Yeah, okay. Let's say 8 meter. 7. Yeah, you could even use 22 gauge for like 5 to 7 meters or something like that. Yeah. The AWG to MM2 is on the same page. Okay. It is. Oh! That's right. Cool. Yep. Okay, sure. Yeah, I like using the other calculator, but yeah, okay. Okay, so I hope that highlights, well, I guess the 3 to 4 scenarios we did now. I will edit this document and make it a bit easier to understand because it's a giant mess now. But the reason I like doing these live streams, and maybe I should do them more often, is helping people understand what the options are and understand the logic behind it so they can, understand it and figure it out themselves and actually know what they're doing instead of this random dude on the internet said I could use Cat 5e cable for my 50 meter 500 amp WS2812B LED strip and you're saying I can't? You're stupid. No, I'm not. There is just math and physics here and random dude on the internet who said you can use Cat 5e cable to do this, no offense, he just doesn't have a clue. Okay, let's see here. I need to figure out power injections for 13 meters 5 volt SK6812 WWCW and A, so WWA strip. It has about 5 meters between the power supply and start of the strip. Have lots of 18 gauge cable. Yes, we get PUE over Cat 5e. Who are you to tell me I can't get 500 amps through there? I'm going to hook up one of your power boards, still want to use my hardware, to a single Cat 5e cable and it'll run fine. You do that, man. You do that. It's going to be excellent. Anyway. Do I have WWA in my usage sheet? I don't think so. Oh, I do. I'm better than I thought. No, that's for LED pixels. Damn. Okay. That doesn't work. So you got me out there with the WWA question. I don't have actual usage numbers for that. But the way I'd normally calculate that is using the 100% RGB value for RGBW strip. Because then you can use the W plus R or G or B. And that generally works out. And for SK6812, that is 50 watt or so. But since it's 5 volt, that is already 10 amps. And you said you want to use 13 meters. So let's do a really quick scenario there. So I said 5 meters uses 50 watt divided by 5 volts, 10 amps. But you want to use 13 meter, so that's 130 watt divided by 5 volt. That is... Oh no, I don't have a calculator anymore. I'm dying. 130 divided by 5. That is 26 amps that you're going to need nominally. But I don't know how efficient WWA is. I never measured it. Yeah, there's no article for that. That's stupid, right? Who is this man? And it's about 5 meters between the power supply and the start of the strip. Okay, so we're going to need that 26 amps. To travel 5 meters. We can take a quick look at that. Just doing this willy-nilly. So we need 5 volt, 26 amps, 5 meters. Pwah. Let's start with 12 gauge. Nope. 8 gauge? Yeah, so 26 amps to travel 5 meters. We need 8 gauge cable, and that is 8.3 millimeters square. Yeah. So 8 gauge. Wait, what was it? Oh, 8.3. So that's going to be a lot. Now, this is of course calculating a single cable, but if we look at injection points, a 5 meter strip is horrible in that sense. We need 13 meters. So let's say we have a front, we have 5 meter. We have a middle, 5 meter, another middle, no, yes, 3 meter. That's 13 meters. We're going to do front. We're going to do middle. We're going to do middle. And we're going to do end. That is 4 plus 8 plus 8. Yeah, sure. Plus 2-ish, let's say. So this is an 8. This is 4 plus 6. Yeah. It's a guesstimate, okay? 4 is 12, 18 is 20 amps. It's not enough. Yeah, that's correct. That's not enough. Sure, you can use buck converters, but then you have to hide buck converters at all injection points. That's also an issue. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, so problem is with 5 volt strip, if you want to use all of its capabilities, that's also how I did the power sheet testing, you're going to need a front, middle and end in each of the 5 meters. Otherwise you can never reach the full potential of that strip, because you need to inject every 2.5 meter. So, okay, we're going to limit. Let's say we only need 20 amps. Right, so if we say, okay, we don't want to power inject that much. That's just too much. I don't want to do that. That's okay, you can do that. You can still end up with a fine scenario if that's the output and the scenario you want and the setup you want and it looks great to you. That's fine, you can power limit. I mean, that's also why we have the dig to go that only does 3 amps, but it can still be fine in a lot of scenarios, right? So we're going to do 20 amps. So we then have a 1 meter front. No, we have a 5 meter front. The middle of front, middle, 10 meter, middle, 15 meter, and 20 meter. We set 4, 8, 6, 2. Oh wait, I'm not showing the document. Sorry there. So I just said, okay, we're not going to do 26 amps anymore. We're going to power limit to 20 amps. And so let's calculate this 20 amp scenario with these injection points. Then we'll need this. Okay, let's calculate that real quick. Chrome. So we now need 5 meters for 4 amps. I think this is okay. No, it's not. It's still not. 10. Okay. This is just to highlight how incredibly difficult 5 volt gets with long scenarios. We already need 16 gauge on this one. Then we need 10 meters of 8 amps. Yeah. 12? No. 10? Yeah, 10 is okay-ish. So we need 10 gauge here. Then we need 15 meters of 6 amps. 8? Okay, let's do 10 also. I don't know. That's okay. 10 gauge. And then we need 2 amps only. Oh, that's cute. 2 amps. 14 gauge? Yeah, 14 gauge. So, because it's 5 volt, we're going to need massive, I can't spell that. Humongous? No. I think that's correctly spelled. Oh wait, you can't see it even. We're going to see massive, humongous cables. Might consider 24 volt to 5 volt buck converter scenario. And guess what? We also did that during live streams. If we go to the website again, here we are at the website, Digital Addressable LEDs, there is a section called 24 volt to 5 volt buck converter power distribution setup. Look at that. And that goes completely into how to do that, calculations for that. If we did a 5 volt scenario, what do we end up with cables and what do we need? Same thing here, we need massive insano cables. But then if we do a 24 volt distribution scenario, suddenly we can use the thinnest cables on the market and we're all good. But then, you know, there's a diagram using buck converters and things like that. Yeah, I'll link that in the document. So, Brett, yeah, that's a very challenging scenario at 5 volt. Massive cables, even you could use a dig octa for this. Maybe a dig quad. Yeah, a dig quad would still work in regards to amps, but then you'll have to use the little fork trick we showed earlier, where you basically use 2 terminals to have a fork go in there, and then you can connect a massive cable on the output to go those long distances for 5 volt. Sounds like I'm going to have to use that 24 volt Cat5 cable that can transport unlimited amounts of power. Yes, I would do that. That's going to work beautifully. It'll even add some extra light in your garden or whatever I don't know where you're placing this, because the Cat5 cable will start to glow. You're using a lot of boards there, Emil. Oh, Pimp Daddy Jesus says, based on this very informative stream, I feel like I made a silly purchase when I got a 500 watt power supply for my 6-meter strip. My brother told to be able to get a 200, but they were basically the same price. Yeah, if you're looking at AliExpress power supplies, there's not too much difference. And having a higher wattage or higher amperage power supply, that's all fine, as long as it's the correct voltage. Just use all the conductors in the Cat5 cable. Sure. Let's look at that, right? Let's look at that. Let me look something up. Combined cable size calculator. Okay. Let's go here. I accept. We have 26 gauge cable, because that's often what's in Cat5e cables, and we have 4 wires because we need to have positive and negative, right? Our effective gauge is 20 gauge. That's horrible. For effective gauge for 10 to select 20. I mean, even if you say 8, it's 17 gauge, but we don't have 8. We have 4 wires because we have 4 wire pairs. So Cat5e at best equates to a 20 gauge cable. Maybe you have like Uber Cat5, right? Then you have 4 wires. Yeah, it's still only 18 gauge. I mean, are you going to run 2 Cat5e cables, one for positive and one for negative? You got 15 gauge. Wow. And then how are you going to solder that to the LED strip? Nobody knows. Same deal, Cat5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's all just copper that counts. The reason those Cat cables are different are because of the windings, the structure inside of the cable. So Cat5 is just 8 pairs, or 4 pairs, and then twisted together again. Cat6 is 4 pairs, but they're not twisted together, and they have tighter twists, and they have a plus separator in between, and then Cat6A adds a metal foil around that, and then Cat7 is a PIMF cable, so pair in metal foil, so that removes the plastic separator in the cable, but then has a shielded braid on the outside of the cable, but each pair is shielded in metal foil. And then Cat8 is the same thing, but it has tighter twists on each of the pairs to support a higher bandwidth and things like that. So, I mean, there's reasons Cat cables exist, but it's not for what everyone thinks. There's other reasons for that, not power. Power isn't it. CCA Cat5e. No. Don't do it. No, Cat6 is not per definition solid. Solid and stranded wires exist for all Cat configurations. Solid wire is supposed to go in your wall, and your patch cables, so like from your wall to your desk, is supposed to be stranded cable. So yeah, and there's also different connectors you need to get for that. SFTP cables, sure, yeah, you can get Cat5 SFTP, but Cat6A in theory is always an SFTP cable. Same thing with Cat7 and Cat8. Yes, I would like to see a house that has an RJ11 LED power distribution network. Just run, we could just run 400 volts, right? So if we need, okay, here we go. Calculator scenario. Let's get my is my calculator there? Yes. So let's say we need 10 amp. No, 100 watt. No. We need 150 watt. If we run a measly 24 volt, we need 6 amps. We can't run that over our RJ11 distribution network. So we need let's run 400 volts. That's only 0.37 amps. There we go. We just need to run 400 volts. And then oh no, that's just the wrong camera. 400 volts, everything is fine. Phone lines are 70 or 80 volts, I believe, yeah. Cat 6 is not per definition solid per wire. No. In-wall wire solid, outside wall wire stranded. Yes, the latest PoE standards go up to 100 watt, but that's easy to see. PoE does 48 volt with a maximum of 500 milliamps. Let's see what that equates to. Calculator. There. 48. No. 48 times 0.5. 24 watts. Okay. No, it's less than. Because we have 15 watts divided by 48, but it's not true. You don't have 48 volts. That's the thing. PoE equipment is rated to run from 52 volts to about 32 volts. Because it expects there to be voltage drop over the Cat5e cable. So a PoE device can run down to 32 volts even if you're starting with 48 volts. And it's fine that you're having that little bit of loss inside of the cable. So we have 15 watt maximum divided by 48. That's, let's say, 300 milliamps. If you now do that times 4, times 48, we're only still at 60. So, yeah, the 100 watt standard is pretty beefy. It's going to warm up your cables a little bit. $2 amp? No. No. No, I don't think so. $400 volt LED strip can cut every 2 kilometers. Yes, that's right there, CJ. For analog strip, I do see that becoming more mainstream. I actually have some samples here, which are excellent. And my newer controllers will be 48 volt. At least most of them, if I can make them compatible. For digitally addressable LEDs, it's a heat scenario issue. Maybe COB LED strip at some point. Currently they're 24 volt and then they divide that over 12 LEDs. But the higher your voltage goes, the larger your zones or your areas will become. So even with 720 diodes per meter, they spread it out over 12 diodes per color because of the 24 volt. If you make that 48 volt, you'd have to double the size of that zone and the wiring on the strip becomes more of an issue, etc., etc. So then you get much bigger zones and you're left with 50 zones per meter, which isn't great. Another thing you could do is use buck converters, but then higher voltage also means bigger buck converter and inductor and things like that, which then runs into other problems. As I said way back in the stream, there are pucks, LED pucks being sold that can accept 48 volt, but those are just big PCBs with some LEDs on there, and they have a buck converter in each of the LEDs. Now that's ideal, because even then, if you'd have voltage drop down to 36 volts in the end, if you're bucking it down to say 12 volt anyway, 48 volt input, 12 volt input, doesn't matter. Exact same brightness. But it's a lot more components suddenly there that are involved instead of just LEDs. And if that buck converter costs $1 per LED, that's $1 per LED. So, yeah, it's tough scaling voltage for LEDs. Well, with 1440 LEDs a meter, you get 5 centimeter zones like we have now with the 720 LEDs a meter. They're Pimp Daddy Jesus. So, sure, but then the LEDs would get even smaller than they already are. The diodes, actually. I don't know if they can make that yet. And if so, it's going to be really expensive. Oh, it's 71.3 watt over all the pins. Yeah, that makes sense with the 60 watt I just calculated there. Yeah, they use all 4 pairs. Yeah. Yeah, the reason it's called 100 watt BT, but then you can only use 60 watt, is because there's going to be voltage drop. And they know that. 371 milliamp, yeah. Yeah, but PUE has voltage drop calculated into the standard. Because a PUE device has to have a buck converter at the end. So it doesn't matter if it's 52 volt, 48 volt, or 36 volt arriving at the end. It'll buck it down to 12, 5, 3.3, whatever it needs anyway. And then you're fine. So it's calculated into the standard. Now go to LEDs, and 12 volt LEDs expect 12 volt, and 5 volt LEDs expect 5 volt. And you give it 4 volt or 11 volt, it's going to give you less light and all kinds of issues at some point. So, yeah. It's the difference between having an end device which knows to expect a variable voltage, and having an end device which has a fixed voltage and needs that voltage. Double-sided COB strip back and front. Actually, that would work. Yeah. There's triple wide WS2811, which then runs at 24 volt, and they have 6 LEDs, but then triple high and double wide per zone, and all kinds of weird configurations like that. Oh. Should I show you a secret? Are we going to do a secret? We're going to do a secret. Because it's almost 10 till 12. We're going to do a secret. Hold on. I have to prepare the secret. I have to unscrew what I did. Yeah, I'm going to make an article about Ethernet cable not being for power and why and things like that, but I haven't gone around to it yet. Other more important things to do. Okay. So let's take a quick look here. It's secret time. Nope. Let's go here. Oh, this cable is kind of dangerous. Let's insert that. Need to check my phone real quick. Just 1 second, please. Okay, so we have a DIG quad. Okay, go away, mouse. It's connected to 24 volt, and the W LED on there, things like that. And it's connected to 24 volt. It's a DIG Uno with 4 outputs? Yes. Let's see where I put this. Because I need to get the correct stuff, because otherwise we'll have smoke. Okay, I know you guys don't mind that, but I do. Let's see if it's this. I don't remember where I put it. No, it's not. Wow, where did I put that? Huh. One moment, please, while we find what we're looking for. You know it's here somewhere. I think. Oh, I know where it is. Hold on. Ugh. I put it really far away. No, it's not in here. Huh? Okay, then it's over there. This is another secret. I'll show you at some other point. Oh, is it here? Yes. Yes, okay. Okay. Are we ready? Are you ready? For the ultimate secret. Because this goes against everything I said today. That makes it much better. Okay. This is an LED strip light, 24 volt SK6812, 60 LEDs per meter. Okay. Well, that seems generic. And we know SK6812 exists in 24 volt variants. But this one's slightly different. This is single LED addressable 24 volt LED strip. There's no buck converters on there, and I'll prove it. No, hold on. I guess I need to put my hand there. There. It's 24 volt. See that? 24 volt. And there's a ground and a not connected and a data in and 24 volt. Over here the same. 24 volt. And there's a little single resistor there. No capacitors. So what's going on here? Well, the reason that non-connected thing is there, that has a reason. Because there is actually a strip or an extra channel needed there. But let's just connect this to our dig whatever here, dig quad. There we go. Oh, this might actually not work. I might need to connect the other side. I don't remember on this one. Okay, I need to see if this works. Hold on. I might need another. Yeah, I need this one here. Okay. Yeah, no, this doesn't work because it's wired incorrectly, which sucks. So I need this one, but then I need to rewire the data. 1 second, please. I need to adjust the data wire because it's wrongly connected in my opinion, but okay. No, you don't, Rob. I'll explain in a minute. Hold on. Okay. There we go. That's lined up correctly. No poking wires. Okay, go. Did I do something wrong? Oh wait, is this fuse blown? It's possible. It was just a random fuse on my disk. Let's get a better fuse. Wait. Let's turn this off again. Did I get the correct data wire the first time? No. This should be functional, actually. Let me see if I can see the controller real quick. Maybe I was testing something with it. Yeah, maybe. Okay, I need to check something. I don't remember which way the data went correctly. There. I'm not sure if I was testing something else with this board. I don't believe so. And this is my 24 volt power supply, I believe. Yes. Am I getting 24 volts? Let's get the multimeter. Some real life troubleshooting here. One second. There we go. Multimeter display activated. And this one and this one. Oh, wait. $24 volts. 24 volts. 24 volts. Okay, so we're getting the right voltage. What is going on? Oh, there it is. Okay. Let me make sure this works. Huh. I don't understand. I see what I did wrong. No, I see what I did wrong. Oops. This blue one isn't the data signal. This is ground. Hope I didn't blow up a level shifter doing that. We'll see. And this green one is the data signal. Oh, wait. Might have blown up a level shifter doing that. We'll see. So I had my ground wire in my data terminal. Because of this weird pigtail which doesn't have the correct colors. But okay. There. Oh, still works. Noise. Okay. Configuration, LED preferences. Let's go. Let's make it 300 LEDs and it's gRGB, I think. Save. Yes. Okay. Okay. So now we have a 24 volt digital RGB strip. So it's actually digital. Let's go BPM, I don't know. Something like that. Or color twinkles. Whoa, okay. That's spazzing a lot. I don't know why it's spazzing like that, but okay. Fairy twinkle? No. Fireworks 1D. Yeah, so that's clearly individually addressable, right? You can see that clearly it's individually addressable. But I'm feeding it, as I just showed you, 24 volts. So how does that work? Because this goes against everything I just told you. And I think Emil probably has an idea. Because he's already saying this is a hot plate. And it actually is. Because if we enable this camera real quick and take it off its thingy. Come on. And focus it over here. We can see that we're using 51 watts. Now comes the interesting part. Let's turn the LED strip off. So the LED strip is off, but it's still using 51 watt. What the actual... Where is my... Okay. What is even going on? How is it using 51 watt when it's not displaying anything? Okay, let's go to solid. Solid white. Okay, let's turn it on. Hold on. Solid white, 51 watt. Nothing changed. What? Okay. So this LED strip is wired differently. Built different. Anyway. It's just built different. Yeah. Let me turn it off. So this strip is 24 volts. And it's per single LED addressable. But the way they did that is basically by reversing how the current works. Because it's 24 volt, and it's really, really hot already, because it's 24 volt, each LED can't handle 24 volt to light up its diodes. It needs to have the voltage dropped. So basically, each LED, by default, even when it's off, will burn off the maximum amount of power it can take. That way, it basically puts it into a diode that doesn't light up. Okay? And it's more like a voltage regulator or something like that, but still. It basically puts it into a diode that doesn't light up. So it basically has 4 diodes instead of 3. And when it's displaying nothing, all current goes into the blind diode, and to have the right amount of voltage drop. So all these LEDs are always dropping the maximum amount they can to make sure the other LEDs don't explode. The downside of that is that the idle wattage is basically the maximum usage of the strip. And the more color and LEDs you activate, the less warm it'll get actually, because then the LED of the power isn't just being transferred into heat, it's actually being transferred into heat and light. So it works the other way around. It doesn't use power. It basically is a heater that can also output light. And then when you output light, it's less efficient as a heater. What's up with the shifting paths between the sections? Yeah, does it? No, it doesn't. No, all the ground data in, data out, the N and the 24 volt continues. But basically it has a 24 volt rail running all over the strip, and then it has the N per section, which is the dropped part basically. No, it's not black magic, it's just really power wasteful. But then again, if you know that each strip is going to use 50 watts at 24 volts, because that's what we saw in the power supply, you know that, that's basically 50 divided by 24, 2 amps per strip. So then if you know you need to power inject 2 amps per strip, that makes it very easy, because then you'll know you'll always be right. And you still have individually addressable LEDs. And if this isn't something you're going to be running 24 hours a day, maybe that's fine. Oh, I think you saw that wrongly there, Philip. Let me try and show you again. So let's focus on here. So here we have ground, N, data out, data in, 24 volt. Here we have ground, data out, data in, N, 24 volt. Here we have ground, oh, N, it's switched indeed. Data out, data in, 24 volt. Yeah, I didn't catch that actually. So here it's still the same. It's the same. It's the same. Here it's switched. Yeah, it seems to switch per section or per few sections. You can put it on the roof to melt ice and decorate. Yes, exactly. I actually didn't catch that. That's a good one. Yeah, so this one works very differently, but it depends on your usage scenario. If you're running on batteries, I wouldn't get this strip. I would get something else. This is very inefficient. I mean, it doesn't matter what you display. Everything except RGB white at 100% is less efficient than any other strip. Then again, it's 24 volts, and you know it's only going to use 2 amps. So that's actually pretty easy to wire for. You don't need a lot of thick wire. You just, run a 20 gauge. You can run 10 meters, and you're fine. So I don't know if this... No, I wouldn't use this for your rainbow in your kid's room. Yeah, it's always the same power. No calculations. The bad thing is that it also uses the same power when it's off. So if you run like 20 meters of this stuff, that's 200 watts it'll use when it's on or off or doing whatever. Still, it's only 4 times 2 amps. So there's that, and it's single addressable. It does solve in-house heating too. Yeah, but you'll have to put this in an aluminium profile to make sure it doesn't overheat. Yep. Well, this would certainly require relays on the board so that you can turn it off when it's not running. But even if you're just running generic effects, which would use, let's say, 10 to 15 watts on a normal 5 meter strip, this will use 50 watts whatever you're doing. So, yeah. That's right, Dutch Towers. They finally found a way to make LEDs as badly efficient as the other lighting that came before it. If you put this in every room of the house, and you put like 20 meters and everything, you'll have like LED heating. Is that a thing? LED heating? I don't know. So yeah, as I often say, I order a lot of stuff to test, and this is one of the most recent one. I also have some other things. Yeah, this stuff be crazy. But still, I can think of scenarios where this would be good. if you want to get rid of the snow, no, yeah, that's bad. But if you want to have perfectly easy cable management, and that's the most important thing whatsoever, and the amount of power used doesn't matter because it's only going to be on 1 or 2 hours a day, maybe it's a good option. I don't know. I thought it was very interesting, so I bought like 20 meters of it because I want to do testing on it. But it's certainly an option. I mean, for the dig boards there, M87, there are 3D printable designs. You can just search for them on Thingiverse, or I just generally use a project box or something like that. Yeah, but they're still very inefficient electrical heating there, Emil. A heat pump will have like 200, 400% of its efficiency, so... I don't know, Philip. I haven't looked into it that much yet, because I haven't had a lot of time the last few weeks, but... It's, yeah, it's interesting stuff. It's probably per 50 centimeter section. Let me roll it off the tape if it still comes off since I fried it on there. Right, okay. So let's see here. We have ground and... No, ground data in N24, ground and data out 24, ground data out N24, so here it's switched. And then it switches back, ground N data out, ground data out N, ground N data out, ground data out N, ground N data out. I don't know. Yeah, problem is that's never going to be 100% or more efficient there, Pim Daddy. So, yeah, no. So yeah, that's the secret of the day. There are some crazy types of LED strips out there which will run full power all the time, and then you can have some of its power that it's using to make light. Except instead of heat. It's interesting stuff. Well, no, because then each LED will get less voltage there, Dutch Towers. Oh, in one LED package. Well, basically the COB strips work like that. So each section of 50 centimeter, or sorry, each section of 5 centimeter has 12 red, 12 blue, and 12 green diodes. That's why they say 720 LEDs a meter. It's kind of 720 diodes per meter, and it's 240 LEDs a meter, like we normally count them. But yeah, that's how the COB strip works. How do you discover all those weird LED strips? Lying awake at night in my bed, browsing AliExpress and Alibaba, and I have some contacts with direct Chinese manufacturers which always want me, which try to send me stuff. So, yeah, that way basically. This one actually came from a Discord member who contacted me in private and said, "Have you checked out these LED strips?" And I was like, "What? What are these? That's weird." So I ordered a bunch, a few different types, and yeah, I've been looking at them. That is actually very cool. Wow, we did another 3-hour stream there. That's been a while. Let's send the free examples to your CEO. The problem is they expect you to do things with those free examples. So, yeah, I don't know about that. How do you think about this 12 volt to 5 volt converting LED strips? You mean with built-in buck converters? I have some of those somewhere. Oh, where did I put those? Hold on just a second. I'm actually, I was already considering this, doing a video about that draadstaal, to show, you know, some different alternative types that are out there, because that could be interesting for certain projects. This one, for instance, if you want single addressable 12 volt RGBW strip, this is RGBW, as you can see here, right? Wait, we need to turn this camera off. There. So this is RGBW strip, and it has a capacitor per, but it's RGBW. And then every 50 centimeters, it will have a little buck converter on the back. So you put in 12 volt. Oh, Philip has to go to bed. Getting up at 5:20. Oh my god. Didn't expect this stream to go over midnight. Yeah, I didn't either, but you know, we're having fun. So 12 volt comes in, it bucks it down per 50 centimeter piece to 5 volt, and then, as you can see here, it has a 12 volt pad, a 5 volt pad, data in and ground. So per 50 centimeters, there is a 12 volt loop, but also a 5 volt loop, and yeah, this way you can input 12 volt, and it runs at 5 volt. On the strip itself, and you get RGBW single addressable. Good night, Philip. Thanks for being here. With 2 times 5 meter strips with mid-end injection, would fuses be 5 amp, 10 amp, 5 amp? So if you have a front, mid, and end, that would be 5, 10, and 5. Yes. Yes, so the buck converter is on the strip. So even if we continue looking at the strip, here's another buck converter. Here's another buck converter. Here's another buck converter. Here's another buck converter, and well, it continues that way. Yes, so every 50 centimeter has its own buck converter to 5 volt. I've tested it. With 10 meters and 12 volt, you still need a front and end injection. But otherwise than that, since it's a buck converter, it's pretty efficient, let's say 80 to 90%. And you get 12 volt single addressable. And in that regard, it works pretty well. It's not cheap. And basically, it only comes in this silicone material because, well, this buck converter would otherwise short out on your channel or whatever you're putting it in. So it always has to be protected like that. Yeah, you can get single addressable 12 volt RGBW there, Philip, Emil. But those have a lot of resistors around each LED, so that strip is hella inefficient, gets really, really warm. It's not a good way to do it, in my opinion. So yeah. Yeah, but this is another specialty strip I've looked at and I've tested. And this is pretty interesting. I'll probably be using this in a project somewhere in the next few months. Well, since this is running 5 volt, it doesn't get too warm there. And it's addressable, so generally that's okay. 5 volt LED strip and also an addressable LED strip, generally you're okay with not cooling it that much. Yeah. So yeah. These are kind of worth it. Let me look them up. You can get them on AliExpress, actually. Let me look them up real quick. For who just mentioned, if anyone's having trouble logging in, I can log into AliExpress just fine. Okay, they're 52 euros per 5 meters. So yeah, that's not cheap. Then again, you can run 10 meters of SK6812 RGBW with just 2 injections, front and end. So it all depends on how much your time is worth in that sense. 1 resistor, 1 capacitor. Okay, that's interesting. Then how are they doing that? Because they either have to bucket down, they have to split it between 3 LEDs, or they have to drop it in resistors. Have a regulator on there, something like that. But other than that, addressable, you can't do it. And analog, you can't do it either, but then you just have more sections, doesn't matter. Yep, well, we're starting to wind down this stream. We've been going quite a while, looked at a lot of stuff, and I hope these calculations will help some people. As I've already shown, there is other variants you can get which will help in some scenarios or be much worse in other scenarios. Yeah, there's lots of stuff out there, and we always like to help on the Discord server. If you're struggling or you're trying to design your own setup and things like that, we do appreciate you doing your own work first, and we then check your work or situation and diagram and, you know, schematic and text you've written out with your calculations. We love doing that. We don't design the setup for you. You have to do that. You have to do some work. This is DIY. But then we love checking the work. So, yeah. And then, of course, we love seeing the end result. That's for sure. So, I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you back in the next video or live stream. We're doing a lot of live streams because I'm really busy with some work. Click like Johnny says, and I hope to see you back in the next one. Bye-bye.
Trapped with all the words you used to say. Yeah.